What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout and I'm here with another rules video. BT21 is upon us. With it comes the next competitive season, and with it of course comes a whole bunch of rules that you should know. But before we begin this video, huge shout out to our patrons. The coffee club is even bigger. Golden Feather Kiru, Bixen, Miguel, Derek, Bryce, Jakub, Frank, Adnan, Nave, Ryan and Scotty. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. These are our $2 and up patrons. Guys, we do all of this for free and this support is so appreciated. It buys us coffee, it helps us going. So thank you guys for that. If you wish to become a member of the coffee club, link to the Patreon is in the description below, or if you just wish to join the channel in a different way, we have a channel join button in the description below. You can join for $2 to get like custom emojis and membership badges and stuff. Anyway, yeah, I guess you have a lot of questions about this rolling, so let's just go over them. Roll the video! As with all of our videos, let's start with the breakdown. So we will be going over rules and interactions for cards from BT21. Yes, we will be focusing on BT21, solely on that set. So if you wish to know rulings from BT20, go check out our older rulings video. And yeah, we'll just summarize a couple of questions here which we believe will be asked. Almost all of this, I think all of this information is from the Judge Discord. If you have any questions, go check it out. Link is in the description below. And yeah, let's just not make this too long. Let's just jump into them. Let's go. Rolling number 1. Can I still burn? So in this scenario, you have your boss monster, you have your Z leader out. If you attack with your boss monster and its attack is negated, can you still burn a life if you meet the conditions for doing so? Yes, you can, and here is why. Because as soon as you attack, your leader's auto will trigger. And your leader says when one of your mono green Son Gohan childhood attacks, this is before the counter window is opened, you get to combo with a Goku. So you immediately combo with a 10k power or less Son Goku from the drop with its skills negated for the turn. Then your leader's auto triggers, which says when you use a Son Goku in a combo, you basically crit one of your opponent's lives. Then your opponent chooses to negate. All of this happens the moment you declare to attack with your boss monster. So as soon as you attack, your Z leader's auto will trigger and you will combo with a card before the counter window opens. Then, if your attack is negated, even if it's blocked, it doesn't matter, but if it's negated, because you have used a Goku in a combo, which happened immediately when you attacked, you will get to deal 1 damage to your opponent. If, of course, your opponent has 3 or more lives. So, yeah, that's how it works. Rolling number 2, more than once. So, is this Whizz's Activate Battle a one-time effect? No, it isn't. In fact, it's a floodgate effect. It's basically a because Bandai said so, but it has been confirmed by the development team, by the design team, that this is intended to be a continuous effect, meaning that each time an opponent attacks for the duration of the turn after you have used this effect, one of your cards will get plus 10k power for the battle. It's basically a floodgate. So yeah, now you know how this works. This makes this card a lot better. Next question, can I Xeno Evolve? Is SSG Trunks being removed from the game, the 5-drop being removed from the game, preventing you from Xeno Evolving your 8-cost SSG Trunks over it? No, it isn't. Warping a card is not a cost for Xeno Evolving. It's what happens after, as a resolution to Xeno Evolving. The cost for Xeno Evolving is everything before the column symbol. So Spirit Boost 1, 1 black energy, if your leader is Black Trunks Xeno. That is the cost. And to Xeno Evolve, you need to have a valid target, which is Trunks Xeno with an energy cost of 5. A card going to the warp happens after the Xeno Evolve effect resolves, meaning that the permanent on the 5 drop, which is when it is removed from battle, it's removed from the game, it doesn't matter, it doesn't prevent you from doing this because it doesn't need to get sent to the warp first for you to Xeno Evolve. It happens after. And just because it cannot go to the warp, just because it's removed from the game, it doesn't matter, because that's not the cost that you have to pay. It's just gonna get removed anyway, but you'll still get to play your Xeno Evolve 8 cost Trunks. Alright, so now comes the actual nightmare fuel. Let's start with this part. Whis time regression versus end of turn effects. When I use Whis time regression and I skip phases, what will happen to floodgates and overwhelm effects? Okay, I know that this Whis is super confusing, but here's what happens. All effects and triggers which last and or happen at the end of the turn are skipped. Basically, Whis goes from main phase to main phase. So if your opponent plays, for example, Robotic Riposte, you play Whis, you skip the end phase. So basically you just immediately go over it and you go back to your next main phase. Back to your main phase. So all of the end of turn effects, all effects that last until the end of turn, are just shut down. Your opponent's floodgate effects will stop working after you have played Whis. However, here's something cool. Your overwhelm cards will stay in the game, because you have skipped the checkpoint after which they are sent to the warp. So according to the rules, at the very end of your turn, a checkpoint appears in which cards which were played by Overwhelm go to the warp. So the game state is checked to see if there are Overwhelm cards that will play this turn. If there is no effect that's preventing them, like Kai's ability, from going to the warp, they go to the warp. But Whis skips the end of the turn phase for this turn, so this checkpoint is skipped entirely, and you get to keep your Overwhelm cards forever, or basically until they're removed by other means. It's pretty cool. Here comes a fun one which you might encounter. Will Cell survive? If your leader is this Cell Z leader and an attack would drop you to 0 lives, will his auto trigger and save you? No, it won't save you and you will lose. You'll lose anyway because you play this awful archetype, but it won't save you and you will lose. Cell's auto triggers only after you have already taken damage, but you need to survive for it to go off. The way the Dragon Ball works is that everything that can happen needs to happen in its entirety for the next thing to happen. Which means that if you are, for example, on 4 lives and you take double strike, that checkpoint ends. Okay, so you've been dealt damage. You have survived, which means that your auto can trigger, because your auto checks have you taken damage at this threshold. If you have, this can happen. However, if you are on 3 lives somehow and you haven't awakened, if you're on 3 lives and you get hit by a triple strike, you lose the game. Because first you will take 3 damage, you will immediately drop to 0 and the game stops. The game stops the moment you reach 0 lives. So the rest of effects, nothing matters. It just stops. So yeah, no, Cell will not save you and you will lose horribly. You'll lose horribly because you play Cell anyway. Okay, we have some ruling that you might encounter depending on the matchups. Garlic versus Unisons. If you have Garlic Jr. Invitation to Eternal Darkness in the battle area and his permanent is online and your opponent has a 10k power Unison, how will the Unison interact with Garlic's permanent skill? So here's what happens. Permanent is that if this card has Indestructible, let's say that it has, your opponent's battle cards in Unisons get minus 10k power. The skill's effect will trigger and it will go into a loop until it removes the Unison. That's what's gonna happen. Effectively, a 10k or lower Unison will lose a marker the first time and then it will be reset to its default state. However, Garlic's permanent is basically like an aura. So the moment he loses the first marker, reverts to default state, it will once again get hit by Garlic's effect. So because it will remain at 10k or less unison, it will lose a marker again. It will revert to its default state and then it will lose it again. And this will continue to repeat until the unison is sent to the drop area. Also, I haven't written this here, but keep in mind, if you play a 10k or less unison, the same thing will happen. I mean, if your opponent plays it, it will immediately just die. So, yeah, unison removal in red looks pretty cool. Speaking of garlic, let's talk about the newest couple, Cooler plus Garlic. If your leader is Cooler BT9, Cooler Mill basically, and you have this Garlic Jr. with its permanent online, how do they interact with your opponent and with Cooler's auto? Okay, here is what happens. This interaction is very cool. First, your leader's auto says, when the power of one of your opponent's battle cards is decreased, your opponent mills 1. Every battle card that your opponent plays will get minus 10k from Garlic Jr., triggering your leader's auto and milling your opponent. So whenever your opponent plays something, if Garlic's permanent is online, they will have to mill 1. You're basically taxing them with mill 1 whenever they play a battle card. In details, when you get Garlic's effect online, you will first give minus 10k to your opponent's battle cards, all of them, and their unison, but that doesn't matter for Cooler. And it will continue to give minus 10k to all incoming battle cards too, effectively taxing your opponent. And now all of their battle cards are saying on play mill 1, and you want them to do so. So this is an amazing interaction. Garlic is going to be huge in Cooler. Now that we have done a couple of easy ones, let's jump into the hard ones once again. Will he flip or not? If your leader is SSB Vegeta or Goku, but we're using Vegeta in this example, he is attacked and you negate the attack or you block it, or you say like, okay, no negates but I will block. Will he still flip to the other side? Yes, your leader will still flip. Okay, this is a complicated one, but his auto says, after using this card in a battle, draw 1, then flip it to its front side. A card is treated as used in battle as soon as an attack occurs, regardless of how it ends. That means, in details, your opponent declares an attack aimed at your leader. Then battle occurs. The moment your opponent switches his card to rest mode and says, I attack your leader. The moment this happens, a battle occurs. Your leader is treated as used in battle, even if you negate the attack or block it, because the battle in which he was involved still happened. It doesn't matter how it ended. Because it happened, he is treated as used in battle. It's pretty complicated, but that's basically what it means. Now let's switch gears again into a bit of an easier one, targeting a leader. Can I choose my leader when using the activate main of SSB Son Goku versus Golden Frieza Spirit Clash? Yes, you can. Here is the activate main. Pay 2 yellow energy, choose one of your yellow Saiyan or Frieza army cards. Doesn't say battle cards, it says cards. Play this card from your Z energy and add the chosen card to your Z energy. Here's where it gets a bit complicated. When choosing a card, you can also choose battle cards in the battle area. You can only choose battle cards in the battle area or leaders. You can't choose cards in the drop, you can't choose cards in the warp, only in the battle area and the leader area. Choosing a card is the cost for the effect. Everything that comes after the colon isn't. Keep this in mind. That means that in order to do this, you have to pay 2, you have to choose a card, which is your leader in this case, and that's it. The effect happens. Everything that can resolve needs to resolve. So the first thing that resolve is you play this card from your Z energy, and then you try to to put your leader into the Z energy, but you can't do this. It's impossible. You can't add your leader to the Z energy. So this portion of the effect just kind of fizzles. It doesn't happen. And the big thing here is that you need to keep in mind that this doesn't need to happen for you to play this card, because it's after the colon. So yeah, you can choose your leader to play this card. Speaking of leaders, does it restand? If I target my leader with Vegeta Trial Run and my leader flips and or awakens, will it restand on my next charge phase? Yes, it will restand. Here is the wording. Activate main limit 1 for 1 yellow. If your leader's backside is SSB Vegeta God level power and you choose one of your yellow Son Goku cards, that is the condition. Play this card from your hand and the chosen card will not switch to active mode during your next charge phase. However, when you flip and or awaken your leader, it counts as a new card. As such, this effect wasn't targeted. This card wasn't targeted by Vegeta's effect, and it will still be able to switch to active mode during your next charge phase. So when your leader flips or he awakens or he Z awakens, whenever something happens to him that changes him, basically, that changes the face of the card or you put another card on it, doesn't matter, he's treated as a new card. So this Vegeta's continuous effect cancels because his original target is effectively removed. So there is no original target anymore, so the effect just fizzles. So yeah, it will restand. Alright, one final one, and we're keeping the most complicated one for the end, and I think the most useful one. What exactly happens when I play with time regression? Let's go over the wording first. If your leader is SSB Vegeta God level power, when this card is played, skip all phases until the charge phase in your next turn, then start your main phase. The wording of this one is weird, but it isn't that difficult to understand what it does. It's just very poorly worded. So here's what it does. Effectively, you go from main phase to main phase. So from your main phase directly to your next one. All phases in between are skipped. You can use your limit. What this basically means is that you can use your limit 1 or once per turn skills again after playing with. That's basically what it does. You can use limit 1 and once per turn again. That's it. You know, they really could have worded it like that. All end of turn triggers are nulled. They're all just void because end of turn checkmark doesn't happen because you have just skipped it. So as we explained this earlier in the video, he turns off floodgate effects and your overwhelm cards remain in the game. Last thing that you need to remember, you don't get to restand your cards. You skip your charge phase. So everything that was switched to rest mode remains in rest mode. So it's not as if you have effectively gained another turn. It's literally use limit 1 and once per turn skills again. And keep your overwhelmed cards and shut down floodgates. That's what it does. Before we end the video, let's jump into the summary. Now you should be prepared for some scenarios which might occur at the upcoming regionals, at the upcoming competitive season. Yeah, now you know some rules for scenarios which you will likely find yourself in. Although we've answered a lot of questions, there are likely still a lot of unanswered questions left, so feel free to post them in the comment section, or better yet, go check out the Judge Discord and ask there. It's a great resource. Use it. A lot of players use it. Don't be ashamed or afraid to ask something. There's always someone there willing to help you out. Link to the Judge Discord is in the description below. Yeah, that's finally it. That's everything. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. Did you find these answers useful? I really hope that you found them useful. I spent the entire day filming and editing this and everything. Oh god, I hope you find them useful. Anyway, so Yeah, let me know in the comments. I've probably missed some questions, so feel free, once again, feel free to check out the Judge Discord, ask there, or just search for your question. It's probably been asked by someone, and if it hasn't, don't be afraid to ask, or just ask in our comments. I'm happy to say that we have some of the most, not some, we have probably the most positive community, or at least among the most positive ones, so don't worry about asking questions if you don't understand something. Just leave your questions in the comment section below. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And yeah, while you're here, please share the video, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and help us get to 3,000 subs. We only have a bit less than 500 subs left to go. Yeah, only. So that's a huge number. Anyway guys, this has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.